This is Backstage Sonoma, your all-access pass to the local music scene.
Coming to you from beautiful downtown Santa Rosa, this is the Backstage Sonoma podcast. And now, here's your host, Steve Roby.
Welcome to Backstage Sonoma. I'm Steve Roby. Today, I'm excited to sit down with Steve Perry, the dynamic frontman of Cherry Poppin Daddies. Known for their genre-blending sound and explosive live shows, the Daddies have captivated audiences for decades. We'll talk about their upcoming performance at Hop Monk Tavern in Novato on September 29th, a show you won't want to miss. But that's just the beginning. Steve and I will also explore the band's journey from its early days, navigating the success of Zoot Suit Riot, and to its latest album, At the Pink Rat. Steve will join me shortly, but first, let's listen to a sample of their music. Here's Down Appreciator.
By me in my tombstone hearse, gave me heart-shaped kisses on the neck. Nasty fantasies of you and me with a tripod camera in the bed. I want to raise a girl, I want who lives to dance in black vampire heels and capri pants. Who likes to kiss in French? I want to be alone. Down, sexy appreciator. I want to have a cold star in a swing belly body stripper. I want to call a red dog, rockabilly leather girl, rose-red river, big curls who likes pow, wow, wow, ding, face things. Why don't you kiss me?
That's the Cherry Poppin Daddies, and their band leader, Steve Perry, joins me now. Hey, Steve, thanks for being here.
Hey, how are you doing, Steve?
Really good. Nice to talk to a fellow Steve.
There's lots of us from our age group.
Yeah, that's true. Hey, Steve, the Cherry Poppin Daddies has a distinct ska, punk, and swing blend. Can you take us back to the band's early days? How did this eclectic mix of genres come together, and what inspired you to create this unique sound?
So I am what's called a Gen Joneser, which is not really a Gen X, not really a boomer. So when I came of musical age, it was 1976, 1977. So funk, disco, and punk rock. I was very captivated by punk rock. There was a lot of FM radio at the time, like Pink Floyd and Led Zeppelin and that kind of thing. I found that incredibly boring. And so punk rock was a breath of fresh air to me. Mm-hmm. And so I dove headlong into that ideology. And one of the things that punk rock, one of the ideologies, I guess, was a DIY kind of ethic that you could do it yourself. These musicians that played in Fleetwood Mac and stuff, they were from some Olympus far away, but punk rock said, hey, you can do this yourself and make the music that you want to make, your own self. And the other thing was, don't be a stereotype. Don't be a drone. Don't copy anyone else. Do your own thing. I go to these early punk rock shows, and to me, it always sounded like that the bands often, not all the time, in fact, it was pretty good, but often the bands were trying to be another punk rock band, some other band. And I found that embarrassing when I looked at a band and they were trying to be Minor Threat or Black Flag or whatever the big band was at the time.
Sure.
I felt like we have this whole idea of not being a stereotype and being your own person. And yet here you are you sound exactly like Minor Threat. My thought was, well, what can I do to stand up for myself and make the kind of music that I want to make? I've always kind of kept to that. That made me do a lot more historical research on music. It's a long story, but I kind of thought, well, what is the one thing that no one would do? And I thought at that time, swing music was way out there. People didn't know what it was.
Sure,
and I was very interested in it because I was always interested in old films. My mother was very interested in old films. And so I grew up on them. And I noticed that I liked the music. And I thought, wow, if I could marry the kind of aggression of punk rock to this kind of swing sound, that would be really cool and be like, nobody else is doing that. And I thought, and that sounds like me. It kind of has a sophistication to it, but I kind of longed for something like that. So that sort of fit the bill. And then as a compromise with the times, also, I was interested in funk and ska and just slightly more interesting dance music. I've always been a kind of person who is interested in exotic things or whatever. To me, if I don't know about it, that's interesting to me. So I want to dig in and find out more about things that I'm not exposed to. So swing music and jazz and stuff like that was something that filled that spot. I just put it all together as one big thing, dance music with some swing influence and some funk influence and some ska influence. And that's where the Daddies were.
Sounds like a huge task to take on in that era, especially.
I don't know. I have a lot of energy, and I think I was born with these ideas of how art should be and very opinionated about what art should try and do. And it's very go for it-ish. I don't like small gestures. If you're going to go for it, really go for it. Try to be James Joyce. That's what I tried to do.
I appreciate that energy, and it comes through in the music. The Cherry Poppin Daddies have dabbled in many different musical styles over the years. How do you approach genre fusion today compared to when you first started, and how would you say the sound of the group has evolved?
Going back to that James Joyce analogy, when we first started making records, my idea was modernist or postmodernist concept. That I wanted to be unique. And my thought was, if you think about James Joyce as, say, he's a modernist, James Joyce is Ulysses. There are a number of chapters, and he'll write chapters in different styles, in different genre styles. But the book is about one day in June in the life of several people in Dublin, Ireland, right? So the theme of the book holds together, but the way that he expresses the theme changes from chapter to chapter. For instance, there's one chapter that's written in newspaper headline speak. There's one that I think is written in like musical motifs. It's the Sirens chapter, right? So it's all based on Odysseus or Ulysses, right? Except it's just these people's lives on one day, right? There's one chapter that's all parodies of various literary styles. So each chapter has a different approach, but the theme is the same. Okay, so I wanted to do something like that originally. So I would write like a 15-song record where it would be like a heavy metal song that would go into a swing song that would go into a kind of I don't know, like the Beach Boys type of thing. And then a funk song. And they would sound like different bands, like literally like more than any other band that I could think of. And that was how we made records. And that was what I wanted Cherry Poppin Daddies to be. More expressive, postmodern-y idea that said something about genre. But all the songs had a kind of similar themes, dealt with the same type of thing. So that was my conceit early on. And when you are a big old weirdo, people don't know how to take you because it doesn't really fit in the stacks in the record store. We had trouble gaining traction with people. What are they, right? On our fourth record, the question was, hey, we didn't have enough money to make the record. We had no money, right? But we had enough for 4 songs, right? And so our manager at the time said, hey, dude, if you put all the swing songs on the first 3 records together and maybe recorded those 4 songs, you'd have a record that I swear to you, people at the merch table would want to buy, because I get asked all the time, which one of these records has the most swing on it, because I really like that aspect to your band. So we put this record together, and sure enough, people loved it. And since then, I've still wanted to make these sort of postmodern records, and occasionally we've done it, but we've separated genres off a little more and not gone wildly genre to genre, but say we would mine swing music, like this new record at the Pink Rat, which we'll probably talk about in a second. Is more, it's all swing music, but it's hitting various different genres or styles within swing music. You know what I mean? Nowadays, we do limit it down, but within the genre, we'll hit the different styles.
I was curious, in the beginning, was it a hard sell to find musicians that would go along with your concept of all these different genres blending together?
Well, bands like this, and I think a lot of bands that are horn-based have this dichotomy, and we did for sure, which was that the rhythm section was a bunch of punk rock guys, and the horn players were schooled. Eugene's college town, There's a lot of good musicians here, especially when I first came here. I mean, I would go to a vegetarian restaurant and there'd be Robert Cray playing for tips in his hat. I mean, it was really a lot of good players around.
Wow.
So I was lucky to run into people who it was for they're about the music. So if I wrote a good song, it was just, if it was crap, I think then maybe I would have had a hard time. But I took care and I wrote songs that I thought were good in every way. You have to write something that's popular to people that people want to hear.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't go too crazy. You don't want to overplay. We have a tendency to do that. But you want to stay in the realm of the people will like you. A lot of jazz players get trained and they want to be John Coltrane before they even know how to. They can't play inside, for instance. They just blow these different scales that they know up and down and up and down, and nobody wants to hear it, right?
Sure, yeah.
So it's trying to merge those worlds. And luckily, I think the material was good enough, and the response when we first played was striking. We did not expect people to like it the way they did.
Let's talk about the latest album. It's called At the Pink Rat. I was going to play a track from it called Thrill Thing, but can you first share the inspiration behind this track? And I'm really curious about your overall jukebox musical theme for the record. Can you explain that for our listeners?
This idea for a jukebox musical, well, what it was originally was, sticking with those genres, was originally it was the ska and swing, almost West Side Story. There'd be a swing gang and a ska gang. This is how it started out a long time ago. But then I started writing, thinking of it more like a Saturday Night Fever, except swing, how we came to swing music and retro music out of this punk rock milieu or whatever. Mm-hmm. And so I've never written it. And I've had written songs subsequently that have been in musicals, like Swing. Swing was a jukebox musical, and I had 2 songs in that. And people have used my music in various Broadway contexts. And I thought, well, I could do this. So on this record, I included some of the stuff that I was working on. One of the songs is Kings of Swing, and that was original on this record was the beginning, the opener, which sets the stage. I picture dancers come out and everything is set in the lyrics and puts you in the place for the musical. And there's various other songs that go there in the musical sense. However, this is not a musical. At the Pink Rat is more just ticking, like I said, inside the genre of swing music. It's ticking some of the boxes that I had previously in other recordings not really done much of. And this track that you're going to play is one of the genres that we did tick that I hadn't really approached very much was 40s era, sort of golden era, big band sounding kind of tracks, right? At 40s, let's say 1935 to 1946. In there is the golden era. I tend to write pentatonically for the most part with the swing music, but that era was a lot more pop music based, so it's a lot more major scales and it's a little brighter, not so fast. I was trying to do that because in our set, we have a lot of fast stuff and we have a lot of the bump and grind stuff, but we lack a few things in the middle. So some of the stuff was 40s. Also, I wanted to tack on the beginnings of jazz music. And so there's several tunes that are in a ragtime or hot jazz idiom, like the beginning track and the last track, don't have a stand-up bass. They use tuba for the bass. Huh. So that goes back to like ragtime and Jelly Roll Morton and things like that. And I found a very good piano player to feature in those tracks. So we hit that genre. We hit the 40s. We hit various types of things that we hadn't hit as much in the other records. Like I had done a Sinatra record and I had done like a Harlem Renaissance kind of record. At the Pink Rat is a compendium of some of the genres within the swing idiom that we hadn't hit as much in the previous 4 or 5 records that we did that were swing records.
All right. Well, let's listen to Thrill Thing now. It's from the album At the Pink Rat. The group is called the Cherry Poppin Daddies, and you're listening to Backstage Sonoma.
shout, go insane on her runway, and she'll respond so loud. She's my thrill thing, ring-a-ding-ding, my thrill thing. She's my thrill thing, ring-a-ding-ding, ring-a-ding-ding. You're still building sand feather castles. She's got more to shine than you all combined. Thrill thing, living on a wing. She's the one I fling around. She hears that rhythm, daddy-o. Then we go to swing and shout. Go insane on her runway, and she'll respond so loud. She's my thrill thing, ring-a-ding-ding. She's my thrill thing, ring-a-ding-ding, 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 ring-a-ding-ding,
And we're back with my guest, Steve Perry from Cherry Poppin Daddies. Hey, Steve, the Daddies have always been at the forefront of unique collaborations and cross-genre experimentation. Are there any contemporary artists you're interested in collaborating with or who inspire you right now?
We've done so many great collaborations. I have chosen, I think, very well. Like we started on our 1999 record. I played a song with Dewey Redman, who was with Ornette and Keith Jarrett. We did a song with Buckwheat Zydeco. My neighbor is Zoot Rollo from Captain Beefheart and the Magic Band, famous guitar player. Mark Volman of Flo and Eddie has played with us. Tony Visconti, I've worked with Tony, the Bowie producer. I've done a lot of I feel like I've picked well with the people, not the obvious people, but people who are somewhat fly beneath the radar, who are insanely cool.
Yeah.
That's I guess that's how I see my band as well. We're not in the mainstream. We use genres that most people are not familiar with on purpose. I'm interested in popular music, but I'm also interested in the art side of it.
Yeah.
The other day I saw a David Bowie interview where they were asking him, he was playing for these big audiences and he thought, these people should be seeing Peter Gabriel. And after that, he withdrew from his poppier side. It just didn't hit him right. And I think for me, that also holds true. So I listen to contemporary artists and I'm trying to flesh out the legacy. At this point, I'm 60. I have some things that are undone. I'm working really hard to make my own music. And I'm so much of an iconoclast that it's not often that I call people up who play like, hey, I need a bagpipe player or something like that. But then a lot of times I'll just play something that I'll learn something myself. Like I had to play a bouzouki the other day because I needed it for the song. Nothing sounded right. So I had to buy a bouzouki and learn how to play it to get this thing.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how it works. If I could afford to collaborate, or if people were interested in collaborating with me, that would be great. However, I'm kind of low profile these days.
Hey, looking back, what has been one of the most challenging moments for you as the frontman of Cherry Poppin Daddies, and how did the band overcome it?
The whole modus operandi of the Daddies would seem to be the obstacle is the way. I've always thrown obstacles in my own way as a kind of way to, like I was saying, okay, it's a jukebox musical. Well, okay, this record's got to have different genres that sound completely different song to song. Okay, that's hard.
Yeah.
That's saying, okay, I want to write a poem, but it's got to be like a Shakespearean sonnet, and it's got to scan absolutely perfectly. Well, when you throw those obstacles in front of you, that forces you to get yourself together. So let's just think the challenging moments are a bad thing. I don't think people hating you is Rick Rubin. I was watching a thing on TikTok the other day of Rick Rubin saying, if you're working on something and everybody likes it, then it probably is not good because the material doesn't have enough charge. And I agree with that. I think it should be challenging. So people should go, I don't know if I like that. It should be shocking a little bit. If everybody likes it, then it just is boilerplate to me.
Yeah, sure.
So that's a hard thing to explain to musicians you're working with. That's a challenge. The constant turnover. When you have a big band, there's a reason why big band era went south. It's because there's too many people. It's hard to pay them. There are all sorts of challenges, but sometimes the challenges are exactly what makes you special.
Nice. Thanks for explaining that. That really clears a lot of things up.
Sure.
Hey, I'm going to play another track from At the Pink Rat. The song's called Undecided. What can you tell us about that?
I've always liked it, and this is the only cover on the record. We don't do many covers, but this is the only one. And this one is from kind of an old Kay Kaiser. Kay Kaiser was kind of a big-time swing guy in the 30s to mid-40s. And he had Ishka in his band, for instance, if people know who Ishka is. So it was a movie called Swing Fever, and it's during the war, 43, I think, all right? There's a scene where this young, I don't know, she's just a girl. She's a teenager, and she's dancing with two GIs who are going off to the war, and it's a jitterbug anthem. I always liked the arrangement, and again, it ticked that 40s box, and it was something that people wouldn't know, and we changed it a little bit because it's a big band thing, we changed it for our 3 horns, or I think we did it with 4 horns. I turned it out pretty good.
Well, let's play it now. This is called Undecided by the Cherry Poppin Daddies, and you're listening to Backstage Sonoma.
Undecided, that is the story of one girl and 2 boys, one girl and 2 boys. She thought both were awfully cute, the boy in the tux and the boy in the khaki suit. One girl and 2 boys, one girl and 2 boys. Which one should she give the boot? The boy in the tux or the one in the khaki suit? She asked her father, she asked her mother, she asked her sister, and she asked her brother. They said you can't sit and wait, one of them must get the gate. And it's one girl and 2 boys, one girl and 2 boys. When they both came to propose, the guy in the khaki suit was the one she chose. But the boy in the tux felt blue, so he went and joined up too. And now she's wacky cause they're both in khaki, so what can a poor girl do? She's back where she sat in a lonely 10-room flat. Undecided, undecided, and that's the story. The sad, sad story of one girl and 2 boys.
Steve Perry from Cherry Poppin Daddies is my guest today. The band's live performances are known for their high energy and tight musicianship. How has the band maintained that level of intensity? And what does performing live mean to you after all these years, Steve?
It's morphed. There was at the beginning, I was always terrified. I felt like I was like a flea going too fast, and everything was terror. And now I got the tempos where they should be. I'm more comfortable on stage than off stage, to be honest, than doing this interview, certainly. What I like about dance music is that, and physical music together, is that communion of spirit with people. Life is so difficult for everybody.
Yeah.
And that moment of joy where everyone just loses their inhibitions and the roof gets lifted off by this music is my contribution to our shared existence together. The Dionysian revel or whatever. But it's also, I think, when you have music that's a band that is playing, like you said, ticking on all cylinders, 8 guys playing off each other, and the arrangements weaving in and out as one, I think it creates not just a way to lose yourself, but also shows what can be done. I think musicians, and particular artists in general, we shape the forces of nature into this amazing form that has effect on your biology. So I have to be at one with the forces of nature, and I try to sound like that. I try to have it be organic and flowing and surprising and evolving. Each track should have those kind of elements in different ways, just like there are different species of flowers or different species of animals and stuff like that. Each animal can be different, but it all has a kind of natural, organic vibe to it that lifts you. That's how I feel about performing too.
Yeah. And your performances are amazing. And you've got a show coming up at the Hop Monk Tavern in Novato on September 29th. And a lot of people told me they're really looking forward to it. What can you tell the fans about this performance? And are there going to be any surprises or new material?
It's going to be a swing show. I can tell them that. Sometimes we play ska material, but we won't be doing that night. We'll be playing a swing show. Mm-hmm. We will play some stuff off the new record that you've been playing. It'll undoubtedly be a good show. We've played at this particular venue before. It was really fun. I'm guessing it'll be fun again, maybe even better.
I sure think so. Hey, when people come out to your shows, do they dress up in the era that you're honoring?
It's not necessary. Some people do. There are people from the swing scene has now evolved worldwide, but in the United States, it's kind of at a low ebb, I would say. But there are undoubtedly in every town, there's a swing dance groups and things like. Sometimes we'll play large shows for just swing dancers. You can really dance to the Daddies like how you feel your body moving. And I don't think many people worry too much about whether they know how to dance with a partner or anything like that anymore.
Just get up and have fun.
That's right.
All right. Well, let me remind our listeners that Cherry Poppin Daddies will perform at the Hop Monk Tavern in Novato on Sunday, September 29th. Doors open at 4:30 p.m. and showtime is at 6. You can purchase tickets at kcturnerpresents.com, and be sure to stop by the Cherry Poppin Daddies website to pick up some music and see their schedule. Hey, Steve, before we go, is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, I'm just really happy to be back in the North Bay area there. One of my favorite places to be.
We're happy to have you here, too. Thanks for stopping by the show, Steve. Really appreciate your time today.
Sure, thank you. I appreciate it.
Backstage Sonoma will be right back after this quick break.
Welcome to Backstage Sonoma, your all-access pass to the heartbeat of the Bay Area music scene. From jazz to rock, blues to world music, we bring you intimate conversations with the artists shaping our soundscape. Hear their stories, explore their inspirations, and dive deep into the creative process that makes each performance unforgettable. Hosted by Steve Roby, seasoned radio personality and best-selling author, Backstage Sonoma has featured Grammy winners like Judy Collins, Colby Kyle Lott, Leslie Mendelson, and chart-topping guitarist Adam Hawley. With over 200 episodes and 4 years of exclusive content, we keep you connected to the local and touring musicians making waves today. Whether you're a lifelong music lover or discovering new tunes, join us on Backstage Sonoma. Available on all major streaming platforms, including YouTube. Don't miss a beat. Subscribe now and be part of our growing community of listeners. Backstage Sonoma, where the music never stops.
Thanks for listening to the Backstage Sonoma podcast. Join us next time for more great interviews and music from local and touring musicians. You can find us on the web at backstagesonoma.com.